I'm not the first professor to study culture. I'm not the first professor to study culture and design. There have been many people, there have been many scholars done studies about culture. There are many, but some of them are very easy to pick up, to understand, particularly to understand Chinese culture. Hofstede has conducted his landmark study among IBM employees in 53 countries, and he proposed a model. And this model is so well known, so we also want to explore and discuss a little bit. But not just Hofstede, not just for IBM employees. IBM employees are a very special group. He studied employees of IBM all over the world, which is very difficult. But IBM employees cannot simply represent other people in the culture. And he did the study for the purpose of cross-culture management or international management. It's also related to design, but not exactly. There are also studies on time management, time orientation, and style of communication. And there are also studies done by cognitive psychologists about people's cognitive styles, how people perceive information, how people collect information, how people process information. Let's start with the landmark study of Hofstede, a theory based on study of IBM employees. Well, actually, there's a little story behind. Before coming to China, before studying Chinese people seriously, the model had only 4 dimensions. But after studying Chinese people, the model has been modified. There's something different. Guess which dimension describes Chinese culture in a different way from other cultures? Is it power distance? Power distance is the one important dimension describing the extent to which less powerful members of groups or categories expect and accept that power is distributed unequally. Power distance is defined again. Less powerful members of the groups expect or accept that power is distributed unequally. Take one other example, like design of office. Does high-level managers have to have very big rooms? In some cultures, people may think, well, yes, in our group, people with power must stay in a big room, very big. For people in some other cultures, maybe think a different way. Well, we don't need to show power in this way. And for high-level managers sitting in a big room, separated from other people, other colleagues, may be bad to communication and trust and understanding. So we don't need that kind of a design of office. We can somehow sit together, share the space, share the big open space. Power distance is the second one, the very special dimension for Chinese people. The second one, individualism. Some very famous scholars consider individualism so special for different cultures. Individualism says the extent to which the ties between individuals are loose or tight, meaning how do people identify themselves with other people. I'll give you one example. The example is about language. How do you call the person who came to the university, who came to the school 1 year, 2 years earlier than you? Meaning, how does a freshman student call a sophomore student? The questions may sound very silly. For university students in North America or in Europe, they say, well, just call his name or call her name. In some cultures, you have special terms for this. And you cannot just translate in one specific term in some languages. In Chinese language, they call 学长, 学姐 for those students who enroll or studied earlier in the school, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years older. 学长 for boys, 学姐 for girls. And similar concept in Korean language. I apologize for my Korean pronunciation, but I wish you pick up the concept. They call 선배. 선배, again, the same meaning for people. Join the group. For students, came to the school, came to the university 1 year, 2 years, 3 years earlier. It's like big brother or big sister. That's a very important concept in Korean culture as well. And you don't just find people call each other, call 선배, use the term in schools. You find out even they graduated, even they work in a company, as long as they're in a group, they respect those people by giving a special term. And similar idea in Japanese culture, they call it 선배. Very similar concept. Very similar concept. If you want to translate this term, you can do it, probably in a sentence. But you cannot really do it in a very short term because there isn't such kind of a term in that language. Coming back to the dimensions of individualism. So when Chinese people call 学长, you can easily translate as a senior. But I'm not saying people who are very old. I'm saying people who are a little bit older or join a group earlier. Or senior members. When I call senior members, meaning the responsibility of senior members, the behaviors of junior members have been determined. As a younger brother or younger sister, I should respect older brother, older sister. I should do this, and they're supposed to do something else. When I was called a big brother or bigger sister for some junior groups, I'm supposed to take my responsibility to take care of them. So when I identify myself, I'm someone's son, daughter, friends, professor, colleagues, and also some senior member of the group to take care of some junior members. Different concept.